Welcome to Law Enforcement Coaching. Meet the Coach with founder Tammy Sharp. Today we are speaking with one of our master coaches, Craig Garcia. Get to know a little about Craig and see if he may be the right coach for you.
Hi, Craig. Thank you for being here today. For those that are watching this video, the whole point of this video is just to get to know our coaches, get to know Craig a little bit, see if he's the right fit for you. With that, I'm just going to kind of throw it to you, Craig. Tell whoever's watching a little bit about yourself and your background.
Awesome. Thanks, Tammy. I appreciate that. My name is Craig Garcia. I am retired law enforcement from the Mesa, Arizona Police Department, and I did 21 years in law enforcement, bunch of different assignments to include patrol, specialty positions, undercover, fugitive hunting, all kinds of good stuff. I had a really good career and then retired in May of 2021 after 21 years. And it was a really good career. I enjoy it. And now I would like to give back. My whole point of doing coaching and even to promote to sergeant was to be able to teach others. And I think that's what I really, really want to share going forward with law enforcement coaching.
Amazing. So if somebody were to come on and see this video and look at your profile and your bio, and they're like, I'm not sure what kind of coach I want to work with, you are very passionate about helping people kind of promote through and what that process is, the mindset, all of that. So what are some takeaways that somebody would get from working with you?
So I could start with just something as simple as a patrol officer that wants to get into a specialty position. Most agencies have a certain time frame that you have to work patrol before you can get into, let's just say, undercover narcotics or fugitive hunting, street crimes, whatever assignment that is a specialty position. And I've helped mentor people to know what to do to get into these specialty positions, as well as other officers, detectives that want to get into the promotional process and some of the experiences that I had. So if there's someone that is really passionate about wanting to better themselves and get into specialty positions, learn as much as you can within the organization and do some really fun things. And that's kind of my wheelhouse.
So you can help with the promotional process and the mindset. Now, what if somebody wants to promote and maybe they get passed over or it's not available to them at that time? What advice or guidance would you give someone they might feel stuck or frustrated because they can't get there, or maybe they got, rejected, which I believe rejection is for protection a lot of the times. But what are your thoughts?
I think first and foremost, you have to sit back, detach yourself, and be honest. Be honest with yourself. Did I do the best? Did I prepare the best? Did I have the best answers? And truly be honest with yourself. And if any of the answers are no, then now you need to look back and really prepare if that's what you want. In addition to that, you have to know what the why is. Why are you wanting to do it? Are you doing it for yourself, your family, for money? What is your why? And really, really focus in on what that is and be true to yourself.
I really love that. I love the why, because I've had a lot of clients come to me where they want to promote, they're really frustrated that they didn't get it, or they're stressed out about it. And when I go back, or they're mad that they didn't get, that's a lot of what I get. And I'm like, well, why did you want to do that? And sometimes they realize, well, because they thought they should. Like that was just the natural progression, but realizing that wasn't necessarily what's best for them at this time. It might be later. And one thing I just want to address for people out there, I really wish departments would kind of stop doing this, because you mentioned patrol. Everybody starts with patrol. And then a lot of time you go into a specialty and then maybe you can only be in that specialty for so long. I'm just going to nicely say for departments to stop treating patrol like punishment. I've seen that a lot where it's like, oh, you're going to get pulled and you're going to go back on patrol. Patrol is, you guys all started there and that's your route. And every facet is something that's going to teach you and strengthen you. And you can learn from your mistakes. I know you're really passionate about it's okay to fail forward. It's okay to make mistakes.
I personally, and I can share this, I have no problem with that, got removed from 2 different specialty positions back to patrol. And um, did I think that it was unfair? Possibly, but at the same time, I learned from that, and then it helped me build to be a better officer, detective, sergeant when I did finally get back, and not blame others, but more focus in on what I can do to get better and really focus in on what you can control. Because let's be honest, we cannot control what the sergeant's board or the command staff does in any of our departments. But what we can do is control ourselves, or we can control our daily work ethic, preparation, mindset, uh, physical training to be the best person that we can be for that department, for yourself first, and then for that department, and then for the community, or for the community, and then for that department. So whatever order you feel like it is, it's really about trying to stay within your lane and making sure that you can control what you can control and just focus in on that.
I love all of that. I mean, and I know a lot of people follow Jocko and they read his book, Extreme Ownership, and that's really what that comes back to. It's so easy to blame the department or other people, or think, whoever got a position is like, oh, that person shouldn't be doing that. But pointing that finger and being like, okay, how can I be better? How can I learn from this? Because we all make mistakes, and that's some of the best. People get really in their heads, I should have done this, or I wish I wouldn't have done that. I messed up here. And it's like, okay, sure, we all make mistakes, but then using that to grow forward and not make the same mistake again and learn from that. Is there a particular mistake that you made that you're like, oh, and then how did you learn from that?
Yeah, and it's a simple mistake. I won't go into like a big giant like life altering mistake, but just something simple. Like I did a traffic stop on a Hells Angels motorcycle gang member who was by himself. He wasn't in a group. And when I did the traffic stop, I ran his name. He had a warrant out for his arrest. I had a backup with me. I arrested the Hells Angels member. And when I was inventorying his personal belongings, I dropped some change right down in front of the Hells Angels, right in front of him. And I bent down right in front of a Hells Angels gang member and picked up the change in a position where I could have very easily been assaulted, kicked right in the face. And it took one of my partners who wasn't afraid to call me out on it and tell me, hey, you need to watch your officer safety because they're trained to hurt law enforcement and it's a feather in their cap. So don't be part of it. Yes. Are you going to arrest him and add charges and is he going to go? Yes, but don't give them that fuel. And so it was a simple mistake, but I was actually called out by a senior officer or detective that was with me on the gang unit. And it made me, all right, I screwed up. I made a mistake. And I learned from that because could it have happened? Absolutely. Do I want it to happen? No, but those are the mistakes that are correctable. And God forbid you don't become case law or worse, get indicted. But those little things are really important to learn from.
That's amazing. And that's amazing that you had somebody there to say, hey, call you out on it, but to teach you. It was a teachable moment. So when I know you teach a lot, you're speaking and you're teaching, you're passionate about that as well. So when it comes to in the department, let's talk a little bit about teaching and what that looks like, because you can be a leader and you can be a teacher, and it doesn't necessarily mean you have the title for that, but you can still do the action. So what are your thoughts?
Absolutely. Every department in America has the senior officers, the ones that never promoted to sergeant, that never wanted to go into specialties, they're perfectly comfortable working patrol their entire career. And everyone knows, hey, that guy's been around. We should probably ask him questions. It's a silent leader that can give advice on something as simple as, hey, where should I go to find the most traffic stops? Where should I go to find the most people? Whatever it is, they're going to know, and they're not a supervisor. In addition to that, all FTOs, they're a a leader. They're the ones that are training the new officers that are coming on the streets. You have canine officers that are not supervisors, but they show up on a scene and their job is to make sure that everyone's working according to what their training protocols are with the dog. They're a leader. Every one of the calls that you go to is going to have a leader, and it might be a 3 or 4 year on officer that shows up on scene versus a 1 or 2 year officer. That officer is going to take a leadership position, and we have to understand those roles. And it's every day, every call, every search warrant, every situation, there is unofficial leaders that come into play. And with that, you're either going to embrace that role, which a lot of people do because they like to be able to help others, mostly for selfish reasons. But it's on a daily basis. Teaching is done, especially in this profession, because at the end of the day, we all want to go home to our families. We want to make sure that we can live longer than 3 years post-retirement, physically and mentally. We all want to grow and learn, and it's really important to do this on a daily basis, whether you know it or not.
Well, and also to be a really effective leader, from my experience working with the different leaders and being a leader myself, some of the best, because there's a lot of ego. There's a lot of ego in law enforcement. There's a lot of ego in leadership, right? And one of the things that I've noticed is that a really solid, strong leader also is constantly searching to learn and to adapt, to listen and say, not necessarily it's my way or the highway. This is how it's always been done. This is the right way to do it. But okay, this is how it's been done. And you're sharing something different. Let's look at it. Let's explore that. And then possibly letting the student make a mistake and fail and be like, well, now you learned that that wasn't the right way. Now maybe listen to me. Or, oh, I didn't even see it that way. Let's try it a new way. So in those leadership positions, if a client's coming to you and they're wanting to learn, maybe even to improve their teaching and leadership skills, I think you would be an excellent coach for that, because you can also kind of address that ego component that comes with it.
Huge. I have no problem saying that there was times in my career where my head would not fit through the door, and I thought I was everything, and it was a lot of it was self-induced, but it's you're proud of what you're doing, you enjoy what you're doing. There's nothing wrong with that, but I think piggybacking off the ego, one of the things in the classes that I teach is we have to get away from I'm the only one that can look at this investigation. I'm the only one that knows about this. I don't want to share, and this is mine to keep, and they don't share with anybody else. And then something happens, and they get moved, and then now that investigation goes dead or dormant. Egos have, and it's hard. I understand it. You have to allow others to be able to give you constructive criticism, give you feedback. And this is my soapbox to be able to say, hey, you know what? Professional athletes have their own coaches. Kobe Bryant had a coach that helped him get better. Any one of the UFC fighters that are out there have coaches. Swimming, I mean, Tiger Woods has his own coach. There is nothing wrong with getting better by someone that has a more experience or has been through something that you're currently going through in the past. Does that mean that they know everything? No, but they can give you a little bit of insight on where you could go wrong and where you can be successful.
That is such an important part to bring in, because I know that there are some people that look at coaching. One, it's kind of a new concept within law enforcement. It is not a new concept in any other profession. I know right now I'm going to date the video for a second, but Taylor Swift and Beyonce and all of these people that are like, trending at the moment, they've all had coaches. You have vocal coaches, stage coaches, speaking, vocal, just to how to present, how to read a teleprompter. There are coaches for literally everything. And in law enforcement, I know some people are like, that's for weak-minded people. That is for, I don't need that, or I'm going to be, ostracized or looked at differently, or like, I can't do the job because I have a coach. It's like, no, that's not what this is. This is to be better. How to be the best is to surround yourself with people that can I always use the Rubik's Cube. It's just looking at a little bit different perspective. Do you think about it this way? With coaching, we don't give advice. We ask questions to get the clients to think on their own. And so I'm going to kind of wrap this up, but there's two more questions that I want to ask, and then we can wrap this up for you. But one, who is your ideal client? Whoever's coming in, who would you love? Like, who would light you up to work with?
That's an easy one. Someone who is motivated, that wants to know that the person who has to be held back, the one that is a go-getter, that wants to do everything, that is willing to stay after to do an investigation, that raises their hand when someone asks who's going to be primary on this case, who wants to write a search warrant, who wants to learn how to write a search warrant, who wants to take this case, someone who is motivated and wants to get better, that that just needs a little bit of steering in the way of, hey, maybe you can do this before you do this, or maybe have you done this before, and just bounce things off of the coaches to say, hey, I've tried this and this is where I want to go. What do you think about that? And just get our perspective. Someone who wants to at some point give back in their career as well, that wants to maybe promote into a supervisory position, that not just because they want extra money or the title or the chevrons, but to actually take a patrol squad and mold them into a good, young, safe, go-getting squad themselves. And there's no better thing in life to be able to than to be able to give back to others. And I'm truly, so if I had that client, the one that just wants to get better, and that I don't have to push and motivate, but actually hold back some of the time and say, hey, there's a time and a place for that, and we'll get there. But I love your motivation. I love your tenacity, and that's the client that I really, really would love to mentor.
I love it, and I love that you said. I'm just formulating. I'm planting seeds on my own, but I'm gonna try to find, because we have so many departments. I'm gonna find a squad that wants to like really up their game. Almost put a challenge out there to some of the squads of like, come work with a coach, transform the morale, the motivation, how they're handling things, how they're communicating, and the leadership within that. I think that would be fun. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, cool. And I think, I mean, to piggyback off of what I was talking about too, is I had a lot of different diversity in my career with assignments, from, like I said, patrol to a case carrying gang detective, to a specialty investigator with the ATF, to with a U.S. Marshals group hunting down fugitives, and then also teaching leadership once I did get promoted, and helping the younger officers to take the supervisor tests. So I think I have a pretty good background to be able to accept that challenge from that go-getting patrol squad, to say, hey, let's get better, and let's go after it, and let's get some tools to help us.
I love that. That's going to be a thing. Okay, so the last question I have before we end this: if there was only one person that was going to come on and see this video, and they needed to hear whatever it is that you have to say, what would that piece of guidance be?
Don't take yourself too seriously, and always be open to learning.
Amazing. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. For anybody that's on the website, if you like what Craig's talking about and you want to book him, you can just go through his profile, book a session, and up your game. So thank you again, and bye all.
Awesome. Thanks, Tammy.